What's up, YouTube? This is another magazine that Terry did a interview or article on. And yeah, as a kid, I collected a bunch of Dax or Terry stuff. So over the years, at least as a kid, stuff like this. I had a bunch of stuff like this. This is another one of those things. This is Dreamwatch magazine, and this is from 1996 September, and was originally sold for $5.75. Let's see here. And this article will be on page 17. Deep Space Nine's Terry Farrell. From Cat to Dax, Terry Farrell has added glamour to each genre role she has taken. On a recent visit to London, Dreamwatch talked to her about life, love, and leotards? Or something. There's a bunch of the other magazines that they had and stuff at the time. X-Files. Yeah. Oh, here we go. A view to a trill. And there is a picture of Terry. And it says here, Terry Farrell's role as Jadzia Dax has developed considerably during the 4th season of Deep Space Nine, aided by the arrival of Michael Dorn's Worf on the station and specific episodes focused on her character. Darren Rhea discussed these changes in an earlier genre role during Terry's recent visit to England. Dreamwatch, what can you recall about the failed pilot for Red Dwarf USA? Terry Farrell, I really loved playing the cat. When we were filming Red Dwarf, they spent so much time deciding how my makeup should look. All the cast were saying, will you decide? I had black nails, and they lifted up the sides of my eyebrows so that they went straight up. They wanted to shave them, and I said, oh no, we'll be bleaching them, and you won't be shaving my eyebrows. Laughs. Everybody else had already met one another. Myself and the hologram were the only actors who were not in the original American Red Dwarf pilot. Did you meet Robert Llewellyn? Critton? No, I don't think I did. It was such a long time ago. I really don't remember that much about it. When a pilot of a series doesn't get picked up, it is such a depressing experience. Everybody puts so much effort into the pilot, and when it doesn't get aired, you don't tend to go, let's hang out and commiserate ourselves some more. you just never see them again. Two guys from England who had previously worked on the British Red Dwarf, Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, did come over to the States. Over on Star Trek, there have been rumors of a rift between the casts of DS9 and Voyager. Sorry about that. To be honest, we don't actually get to see each other that much. We don't all hang out together at work. It is difficult to find time to visit the other set. If you do find time, you can't always guarantee that they will have time to take a break and talk with you. I knew a lot of the people on Next Generation before I got the role on DS9, so it was easy to go and hang out with them. I had worked with Jonathan Frakes when I was 20, so when I saw him 10 years later, it was very much a case of, how are you doing? How do you cope with answering the same old questions about Dax? So much changes about our characters from season to season that my answers to people's questions are constantly changing. If you read an interview with me during my first season and compare it with what I'm currently saying, you'll notice a lot of differences on how I perceive things back then. This character changing also helps us a great deal at conventions, because you're not telling the fans things they already know all the time. Another interesting thing about the more conventions you do is the way in which you learn to sidestep the questions you don't want to answer or don't know how to answer. We usually get asked questions pertaining to the season we are currently showing, but what I get asked by a lot of fans are things like, why are Bashir and Dax no longer having a relationship? And I'll say, well, where have you been for the last 3.5 years? That ended a long time ago, and the audience loved that. Sometimes we are asked really silly questions, and you think to yourself, well, you're obviously a huge fan of the show. How has the introduction of Michael Dorn to Deep Space Nine affected your character? It actually added so much to my character because I got to train in battle with him, and I got to make innuendo at his expense. I also got to flirt with him and get under his skin. On top of that, he's a good friend of mine, so it's a joy working with Michael. Excuse me. He's very much like a big brother to me. We dance on the set together and he sings to me. I really love working with him. Is the flirting angle something which is likely to be developed further? I don't think it's really anything more than a harmless bit of flirting. In Sons of Mo, Dax wears a red leotard, which is quite revealing, and Worf accuses her of not fighting fairly. He claims that Dax is trying to distract him by flaunting her body. She gets him back by saying, "Really? So what about all your yelling and carrying on?" And he realizes that he is just as guilty as she is. But no, I don't believe there is any romantic plot to follow on from this. What were your first thoughts when you read the controversial script for Rejoined, Pictured? My first thought was that I was really upset that she dumped me. But after I thought about it a bit more, I thought it was really great that my character was willing to take that leap and believe in herself enough to risk her career. It was also quite touching how much she loved this woman in a previous life. But now, after having further hosts, the two of them have found each other again. This story really shows Star Trek at its best. People say, well, it's obviously a lesbian story, and yes, there is definitely that issue, but it was shown in such a way as to detract from that. If you notice, nobody on the station talked about the fact that we were two women. The issue was, do you really love each other? Not one character said that we should question what we were doing. because we were the same sex. So it was more of a social issue. It was more, do you love each other enough to deal with that? People really enjoyed it and were so caught up in the episode that they kind of lost sight of the fact that we were both women. Some people would then say, my God, I was sat there watching it with my children. I think they were frightened that their children would wake up and experience the real world. I think it was more of a love story than mere Telefion, or something. Totelion. Something. Did you know there is a campaign afoot to have an ongoing homosexual character or couple in Star Trek? I think that would be an ideal scenario, and it would certainly reflect society more realistically. Ideally, though, they wouldn't make an issue out of it. It isn't an issue to be straight, so why should it be an issue to be gay? This is a pretty long article, so I'm going to do this in a second part. Alright, I'll be back.